About
there any
Italy?
Arsapretis in Italy?
Oh God. In fact, if I should go to Italy, I wouldn't even know where to locate some of the people over there, because I wouldn't even know what they look
It's a
like.
long time ago. What about your grandmother and your grandfather? Do you remember them?
I never saw none of my grandparents. None of my grandparents. My mother told me that only one, when I was born, my father's mother was the only one that saw me. But after
Do you remember what
a
her
little
name
while,
was?
I said died.
Do you
I don't
remember?
remember my grandparents. Never saw them.
You don't know their
Never,
names?
never.
Is it written down somewhere, do you think?
No,
No.
never saw them.
When you came over, when you came out of Ellis Island, did they give you papers?
Yeah, we used to come home with tags on, you know.
Do you have any of those? Did you save them?
Hey, Bill, we don't even, at that time, we didn't know. I was young, though, Bill. I didn't know anything. Like my mother should have saved that stuff, you know, for remembrance.
Now that house that I remember that Grandma lived in, where was that?
Where, in Italy?
No, in New York.
In New York.
Jackson Heights? Right?
Jackson Street. She lived on,
This wasn't in
front.
Manhattan. This was in Queens.
Yeah, no, would you call that Long Island City?
30th Drive is the house that
What was that address? There. Remember?
30th Drive?
1419?
30th Drive, yeah. That's where my mother died,
Queens.
from that house. Huh?
That was the house with the backyard, and Grandpa had his workshop.
That's right, that's right. My father had a
And the
workshop.
things, and we used to climb them. And
Yeah,
get yelled
yeah,
at.
yeah, that's it.
And your mother always had the candy on top of the hutch. Remember that? You have that? Really?
That hutch, Bill, it was bought for $25, I think. My mother bought it off a furniture store down on First Avenue, you know what I mean? It was so cheap years ago, you can't believe how cheap stuff was. So she had it. When my mother passed away, I said to my daughter, I want you to have this here for remembrance of your grandmother. And we brought it. That's all cherry wood, and she has it in a corner. It's beautiful.
And your mother was a tough cookie, though, huh?
Well, my mother she was a stern mother, but she loved her children.
But she didn't.
She loved her
She
children.
was tough, though, if somebody tried to mess with her, right?
Yes, especially me. She was always after me. I couldn't get away with her. Forget about her sons. There's no words. Forget about it. Whoever touched her son, you would touch it. But, you know, life went on. It was a...
And
She
how
was
about, do you know anything about the invention that your father invented? Do you know much about that?
I don't know what the invention was, but
For
he
an
invented something.
for an
Yeah, but he
airline.
went to the place there, but we never heard from them if it went through or not.
He didn't get the
My father
patent.
was a smart man, a patent, yeah, very smart.
He was an older man when he invented that. Do you remember when he was?
Oh yeah, well he died at 86, Bill. He must have been about 80 when he invented this thing.
And he did that in the back shop.
Yeah.
And the cats. Remember the cats? Remember the cats back there?
Yeah.
the turtles. Remember the turtles they used to have?
No.
She had a turtle, a couple of turtles. She cried at one of the turtles. In a beautiful garden.
Was that a three-family house that she lived in?
Two family.
Who lived on the second floor?
Well, I really originated there when I got married, you know. When I first got married, my mother gave me the rooms, you know what I mean?
Upstairs.
Upstairs. There was no heat. The walls are all wet and everything. And the building, my son Billy, had a small little room there. It was all, the walls are always wet and it was no good. He was always cold. So I decided that I was gonna go. I was move. And I did move, and I moved into another apartment because it wasn't good for my son to live there. But then, after I don't know how many years I went back to live there, but it didn't work. My mother was a
Next to your
tough
mother?
woman. My mother was a tough woman. She rest in peace. Tough woman. But none of us took after my mother. You know something?
You
No, no.
didn't take after her?
Very, very tough one. I think my sister Margie is a little bit like her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But not Tessie.
How about your father? Was he quiet?
My father was an ace. And you ever hear ace? He's an ace. My father was a good person. Very kind. My mother only lived for her children. Give her her children, the children of her love, and that was all she cared. She didn't care for nothing else. She didn't even care for husband or not. Give her her children. Unbelievable.
So
She was
the
the first.
grandpa was quiet, or would he yell? Who did the yelling?
Oh, my father?
Who when it was time to yell? Who yelled? Grandma or grandpa?
I don't know. My father was only yelling at Tessie most of the time. Not me.
Yeah.
I was his pal. No.
How about with
Tessie,
his sons?
Tessie
How
coming
was he
home
with
late.
his sons?
He adored them.
Yeah.
He adored them.
And he taught them how to build things. And,
Every one of them he loved. He adored them. Not a bad word of them, everybody. He used to light up whenever his sons used to come there. My father was a good man. And my mother was like the hen, you know, she always wanted her children near her. Nobody could, if my father wanted to say, she had to be the first one to talk to her children.
so your mother was the one that handed out the discipline.
Yeah. But I tell you, none of them were bad, none of them. We were all good. Only my sister Tessie was a little bit, you know, when she reached about 15 years old, she wanted to have her way, you know. She didn't listen. And my mother used to cover her up, and my father used to know that she was out, you know. I never had trouble with my father.
Now, what about the story that somebody told me? I think it was Danny DePerna, that my father would stay out all night Saturday night.
Oh, now you gotta bring that up.
And
my
then come
brother,
home
my
and
brother.
and walk his mother to church.
Yeah, well, he used to hang out with her husband and a bunch of guys, you know, the Greek guy, what was his name? That Greek guy, he died.
No.
I don't know if he died.
He died. Yeah.
They used to go
Sonotis?
Who?
Sonotis? Steve Sonotis?
No, it was
No,
another.
I know the guy you're talking
Yeah,
about. He died.
yeah. They used to hang out together Saturday night, you know. Gerard bar underneath the L, I don't know, 35th, 34th Avenue. They used to be there all night, and then he used to come home late, and he used to sing Sweet Adeline, and my mother used to get him in, shh, 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 not to make my father hear.
Sweet Adeline,
Yeah.
huh? He was wild when he was a kid?
My brother?
Yeah.
No. Bill, I
Yeah.
never in the house. My brothers were all good. Never. We were a very close family. Very close. We loved one another.
So, but Ernie would stay out late.
Well, you know, we wasn't not doing anything wrong. Only the thing he was doing is staying with his friend. He'd taken a few drinks.
Yeah.
But he
Tell me the story about when he came home from the Navy and you moved. Is that a true story?
the
He
Navy.
says that he came home from the Navy and you had moved. The family had moved.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, we moved, and that's where my mother moved on Crescent Street. You know, no, from Crescent Street, my mother moved to 1419 30th Drive, and then he couldn't find us, and then somebody had to say that your parents moved, and then he finally found the house. And when my mother saw him, my God, he wasn't in the Navy much, you know what I mean? Bill was there, but he was the last one to go, Ernie. And when my mother heard he was in the Navy, he says, "You're going to jump in the water now? You're going to get drowned?" You know, all that stuff. That's too much. You have to see when my brother Joe was coming home from the war. He was in real bad action. Him and Tony. Your father says to my mother, Mom, I gotta tell you something. I gotta tell you something. Joe, she only said Joe. My mother passed out. She thought he was dead. You know what I mean? He's on his way home, and the man was coming home, and she only heard his name. She passed out. She says, "Oh, something happened to my son."
Well, you want to add anything to this, Suzanne?
No, this is one.
You heard all the stories? Yeah, are there any stories that you've heard that I haven't heard? That we're not
This
gonna hear?
girl here, Bill, let me tell you about my daughter, Suzanne. When she was born, she was like a little, how do you call it, dark Puerto Rican. She looked like just like dark. And like she had a lot of hair, and Mrs. Darelli, you know, my mother's niece, her name was Maria. She came to the house when she was born, and she says, "Look, this baby here is gonna be the most beautiful baby when she grows up. She's gonna be gorgeous, sure enough." And
How
you
did you
know,
meet-
where's Camille?
She's outside.
I want to tell you something, but I don't want to say it in front of my mother. My mother adored Suzanne going out of her mind. Out of her mind. She adored. First granddaughter, she went crazy. Until the day she died, huh? Oh, yeah. You used to listen to her. Yeah. But, you know, Suzanne, you was the first granddaughter there, and Bill was the...
Grandma, think about us, Ernie's kids. She ever say anything about us?
All of it, all.
She had so many.
Let me tell you about, you want to know about my brother Bill. You want to know, you know, your father married a Catholic girl, you know, from a Catholic, same religion. Now, when Bill married Mary, you know, my mother was a little bit, you know, she wasn't happy at all. She didn't like, you know, that. First of all, she was a Baptist. And second of all, you know, my mother says, well, I don't know, she was going. But my mother took your mother. When she saw your mother, she was an ace, number one. She said, Eileen, over here, Eileen. And your mother respected my mother. You have no idea. Yes, Mom, that's all we used to say. Your mother was number one daughter-in-law, honest to God, from my mother. She loved your mother. As soon as she saw her, she says, I like Ernest, I like this, your wife. Like that. And talking about Bill, then Bill got married, and Uncle Tony, and my husband, they went down to North Carolina to witness the marriage. And they went down with 2 shopping bags. 2 shopping bags with at that time they didn't even have believers. They went down there to witness this marriage, and
Come on.
when they went down there, they says we don't sell no. If my husband was looking for a liquor store, he's not here. He said we don't sell liquor over here. You know what I mean? And who came in? What's the matter, Charlie? So then, Bill had his first daughter, and that's Dawn, right? So my mother says to me, I don't know, Angie, what's going on over here? If this baby's she's a Baptist, he's Catholic. Is she the same, is she gonna change her religion? So I said, Mom, I don't know. He says, listen, that baby's gonna be baptized on such and such a day. I want you to get in church ahead of time to see if that baby's there. Because he promised my mother she will be baptized. And so I went ahead of time to see Dawn, and she was baptized. Then I went to see the other one too, but I don't know about Bill. Bill, I never know what
He's
he
getting
was.
married.
I know. We're gonna have a nice time. You gonna go, Bill? Oh, good. Tell me something. How are they gonna get married? You know about it?
How are they going to get married?
No,
Well,
I mean-
she's Jewish, right?
She's Jewish, yeah.
I don't know. I think
Give him
it's-
some more rice to knock them.
This is fine. All right, thanks, Angie. Say goodnight.
Good night.